The tower coating program is in place to ultimately extend the life of the assets of Hydro One. We can coat galvanized steel towers and extend their life as much as 15 to 20 years. And by doing that, we can delay the eventual replacement of those assets. We're currently executing the tower coating program using our Hydro One apprentices. There's been an effort to extend the life of transmission line towers since the mid-1950s. The program has come and gone, and it's most recently started in the late 1990s. We've been coating since then, with the exception of a couple of years where we took some time to address some health and safety issues. During that time, our work methods group and the health and safety group worked closely with us to develop a program, procedures, everything that we would need to ensure the safety of our workers and safely execute the work. There's a number of different studies done by different people throughout North America. They all say the same thing. You can extend the life of a galvanized steel member by introducing a coating that will protect it. From there, it just becomes a game of numbers. Is the cost of doing the work, does it make sense? Does it extend the life of the asset long enough to be worth the cost that's been put into the effort? But it's something that's done throughout North America. And if you've ever taken a trip down to Florida, you'll see quite a number of locations where they've done coating. They experience the same sort of problems as we have. Oftentimes you'll see that the tips of the towers are not done, so they must not have been able to get an interruption on the circuit. As a result, for the health and safety of their workers, they didn't coat those tips. Total probably in around of 140 or 50 this year, and next year we'll be looking well over 200. The consequences of not executing the tower coating program take quite some time to realize. Many of our structures were built, of our 230 kV system were built in the 50s. So they are coming to the point where they're 60 some years old. They are all going to reach their end of life at the same time if we don't do anything about it. So by extending the life of those assets, we'll be able to delay the replacement of some of those towers that would otherwise all come at the same point in time.
Specific challenges on this job, like the supervisors are new, the men are new. We have a couple supervisors, this is their first time as being a supervisor. Work methods and training has done a lot of work to get this up and running. The training program this year was 3 days in-class training, 1 day out in the field, practice climbing towers, sample of painting towers out in the field before we even come to the site. And then the next program, we come the first day, we have an outage. We expect these young guys, these young supervisors, to get up the tower.
The actual painters, when you first went out and saw them the first week, some of them, to be honest, they were afraid to go out to the tip of the arm. It was a challenge for them to move out. And they weren't forced, we just said keep trying, baby steps. You go a little bit further each day, get more comfortable, get comfortable with your fall arrest, because this is something new to you. Where an experienced lineman would walk right out there, these apprentices, it's new to them. It's nothing they've done before. So by the end of the second week, you can see the guy walking out the middle of the arm and no issues. And to get to the tip was a little bit scarier for them, but it was a challenge for them to get there, and they came up to the challenge. It's
dirty, it's hot. There's nothing nice about this job other than the satisfaction. You see the tower, it looks good when you're done. It's that lineman pride,
This program develops the young apprentices into very good tower climbers, which is what we need with Hydro One. It also develops a very good work ethic that they get started here right first thing in the morning at 7 o'clock. We start, and they're loaded up and ready to go out the door. They get tailboarded on site. Their safety is a paramount concern, and that's what the crew supervisors stress to them, and they really get developed well in their safety habit and culture. One of the challenges here, though, is to keep them motivated, because especially with hot weather, sunny days, they come in and to go out tower painting again day after day after day where they got no variety of work is a challenge. These kids have put their head down and they're doing well. They keep motivated. They keep themselves motivated. They keep working. I don't know what more I can say about them, but they're doing well.
I would say the skills that these guys have developed, because they're young, they really don't know what they've developed. And that's part of being a lineman, and that's part of the trade. I'm learning every day. I'm learning a new job doing this. Ron's learning a new section doing this job. Every day we learn, and that's the whole thing with these guys. They don't realize what they've done. Guys are going to be the go-to guys for climbing towers.
One of the other challenges is the weather with tower painting, and right now we're just come off a record-setting day of 35-degree heat. Every morning through this last heat spell, when I take roll call in the morning, the heat is announced, or the temperature is announced, and I tell them to look after their buddy, look after themselves. They see their buddy not sweating, that's a sign of heat exhaustion. We don't need to be rescuing anybody. It's not a shame to climb down a tower. If you're not sweating, it means your radiator's broken and you've got to get in the shade and get cooled down. That's not a weakness, that's a sign of strength that you recognize an issue. I tell your buddy, if you see him not sweating, he may not know it. We don't need to be rescuing anybody, and that's very highly stressed every morning from May 1st to the end of September due to outages. We cannot paint over anything live, so we get outages to paint the arm tips and then come back on the second climb and do the rest of the tower. We shouldn't say we can't, but we prefer not to paint later than September because we get into cool weather where the paint doesn't adhere to towers. We have frost in the morning, or the possibility of frost in the morning, and the towers are wet. We can't paint on a wet tower, so to wait for the dew to dry off could be 9-10 o'clock, so we've lost that window of opportunity in the morning, and it just makes for a non-productive work. So we like to stay between May and September if we can.
Well, one of the big factors with the outages is to do it early in the season before the heat comes. In the city of Toronto, you're not going to get this tower line out. You're not going to turn the power on. So that's why these guys show up. And we had a fairly busy first month. These guys worked, I think, 21 days straight. And that's because of outages. Our job is they climbed a tower on the one side of the tower and painted the arms, painted the tips. Came back down, went to the next tower. We did 85. Got to the other end, isolated the other side, turned around, climbed that tower again just to paint the tips. You know, there's a lot of planning at the start of the season because with this heat, it ain't going to happen. So that comes in the planning of the whole job.
We take outages to paint the over top of the live conductors. Because we can only have one side out at a time, we have to, like Perry said earlier, we got to wait for the second outage to paint the other side, and then we paint the box down. Because this paint takes so long to dry, we can't paint the box. We have to leave a climbing corridor in order to come back up and get the other tip. So we can't paint the box when we're up there the first climb. So, and the second climb, when we're up there doing the other side, we're under time constraints for our outage. So we want to get all the tips done that we can and then come back the third time to finish the tower. For painting the box, we don't need any outages as long as we can maintain our limits of approach. And we're not painting over top of anything live, like directly over top. It's horizontal distances as we maintain a horizontal distance, but over top, we're not over top of anything live. This year we had no volunteers for painting. There has been volunteers other years, but this year I don't think there was anybody volunteered for painting, other than there was supervisors that did volunteer. As far as the apprentices, I would have to say that none volunteered.
Well, I think they're learning too this year that value at an early age, or early time in their apprenticeship, Hydro's terminology of voluntold. You know, there's jobs out here that people don't want to do, but yeah, that's one thing with the alignment, it gets done. How? We're not sure sometimes, but it ends up it's done.
Yeah, this is a paint mitt, and this is what they're putting the paint on. This is what they're applying the tower coating with. They're handling their buckles, they're scratching their eyes when they get itchy, they're taking everything off with this, and this is covered in paint. You've got two going at the same time. It's slippery. You work safe though. I mean, you're buckled in, like no one's really slipping and falling.
Oh yeah, you're drinking lots of water. You're always checking everyone out, make sure everyone's, there paying away and nobody's kind of passed out anywhere. There's been a few times where we just, hey boys, we all had a break, just have some water. You may not be thirsty, but get some water into you anyway, especially the last few days. We've been really hot.
In this heat, we've been pretty diligent about trying to take water breaks probably every 20 minutes, half an hour. Get a bottle of water into you.
Oh yeah, every day's better than last.
Yeah.
Well, you can get some
pretty
zaps
good
up
stuff,
there.
Yeah. The
Oh,
last,
yeah. Surprised you guys couldn't hear it.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You take that shepherd's hook off up there. There's a pretty good tap every now and then if you're in there.
Yesterday there was seemed to be a bit more. You get some good lifters. Right below the lower arm there, you start getting into that field there. It starts to poke you pretty good.
And they've been climbing for 2 months every day, and these guys are really good climbers. Just watch them for a little while, you'll see how comfortable they are. And we try to get a half a tower done in a day. Try to get ahead of the heat, and because that's our hardest thing right now, to get ahead of the heat. We haven't had any rain days, so we typically send 4 guys up, and then everyone gets a paint pail, and then usually 3 ladders go right up to the top, right to the roof, and work down from the sky wire. Other crews don't do that, some crews do. We put sometimes 5 guys up if we're gonna do all the little arms, we call them the rover. They keep the guys working down the legs, and you basically just have a hand line, and you just keep moving it down with you, and whenever you need more paint, you call up for it, and whenever you want water, you call up for it, and you just work your way down the tower. And teamwork is very important. You can't miss any spots. You got to do it safe. You got to do it efficiently too. The guys are all working together. They're all watching each other. Like I watch from the ground also, but I don't have to yell up very often. These guys are always watching each other. They don't get too far away without double checking their partner or something, right? And the way they move around in the tower, they're always talking about covering, right? And stuff like that. And communication is key. I would guess that a lot of these apprentices would be eager to climb more towers now that they're good at it. Now that they've done sort of the dirtiest type of work they could do up there, and they can tackle whatever's next. Should be easier on them, a lot easier on them. I don't know whether they want to. Maybe they hate it now. I know some of them like it and they're enjoying it, but it's hard to say. They're definitely among the top 5% of the best climbers in the province. These guys are freaking, if you watch them, they're laying down and they're reaching, and our regular linemen aren't in awkward positioning like that, right? They're learning how to do it, and they're learning how to do it good. For your climbing experience, your basic rigging and stuff like that, it is invaluable, like you say. You learn it's a good base.
You go watch these guys now, and you can tell them from an experienced lineman to the first or second year apprentice. These guys are very good. Very good.
That is one of the rewards of this job. You see the apprentices grow, you see the supervisors grow. My job is I look at the dollars and watch the overall program. And I just said to Ron the other day, by July 19th, we're to have 100 towers done and be right near the 2.2 million. From what I can see, we're at 2.1 million and we have 106 towers done. These young guys don't realize it, but they're doing a great job.